In laboratory Reddit, today's story is...
My sister destroyed my marriage by sleeping with my husband and now demands that I stop posting about my pregnancy because it is insensitive to her infertility. I am a 30-year-old woman expecting my second baby. This child is my first with Walter, my current husband of 30 years, while I have a 6-year-old girl named Emery from my previous marriage to Dalton, a 36-year-old man. This period has been very exciting for us. However, May, my 58-year-old mother, has ordered me to cease any publication related to my pregnancy on social platforms, arguing that it is cruel to my 33-year-old sister Sally, who is facing problems conceiving. Brief background. I was married to Dalton for 2 years, and our union ended because he had an intimate relationship with Sally, my older sister, to whom he is now married. Moving on, I have shared normal updates about my pregnancy online. Ultrasound images, some photos showing my belly, occasional posts about baby preparations, such as choosing colors for his room or strange cravings. Nothing excessive, nothing graphic, and nothing out of the ordinary for parents to be. These posts are aimed at friends, family, and the small number of people who are genuinely interested in my life. To me, they are harmless posts expressing my excitement about my pregnancy. Sally feels uncomfortable about my posts because she has been trying to have a child for some time without success. Mom feels that my posts remind Sally of her struggles and highlight how my life is progressing while hers remains stagnant. She also mentioned that my posts could be interpreted as being presumptuous about my growing family while Sally struggles with infertility. One particular thing that Mom expressed that struck me was that posting about my pregnancy makes it seem like Sally was the wrong choice for Dalton. That reflects more on Dalton than anything else. My mother has even suggested that I should stop mentioning my pregnancy completely, both online and in face-to-face conversations. She believes it is my obligation to protect Sally's feelings, even if it means hiding this happy stage of my life from everyone. I was surprised when she mentioned it, because it seems extremely unfair and impractical. I am pregnant and I shouldn't have to hide it. I am not directly tagging Sally in my posts or sending her updates about my pregnancy. I have been minding my own business, sharing these photos with people happy for me, and yet somehow I am being cast as the villain. My mother thinks I should be more mindful of how my posts affect Sally's feelings. She believes that if I share too openly about my pregnancy, it could make Sally feel inadequate, potentially damaging our family relationships. She also pointed out that my posts could make Sally question her marriage to Dalton, especially as I seem to be moving forward while she feels stagnant. This is where I start to feel like I'm being asked to bear an unjustified burden. My posts on social media are not about Sally or her struggles. They are about me and my family. My enthusiasm for this baby has no connection to her, her marriage, or her fertility journey. However, my mother seems determined to relate every aspect to Sally's feelings, as if my happiness can only exist if it doesn't interfere with hers. What really irritates me now is Sally's audacity. She actually had the nerve to ask me to stop sharing about my pregnancy because it might make her uncomfortable. This is the same sister who betrayed me in the worst way imaginable. She destroyed my marriage, and now she wants me to silence my happiness for her comfort. I know it wasn't entirely her fault. Dalton played a big part too. I am furious with both of them, but Sally is my sister and she should never have done this to me. It's not about envy, not coveting her life or choices. They are actually quite deplorable. I just can't get over how she made me feel. She hurt me deeply, and instead of acknowledging it, she acts like the victim, and that everything negative happens to her. It's unbelievable that she thinks she can ask this of me. I have put a lot of effort into moving on from what happened, but situations like this just bring it all back. Sally will not admit her mistake or take responsibility for her actions. Instead, she expects me to make sacrifices for her as if I owe her something. I really feel sorry for her. It's unfortunate that she can betray her own sister and still believe she deserves compassion. I refuse to let her make me feel guilty for keeping my pregnancy or my happiness a secret. I deserve to celebrate this, regardless of how she feels about it. I have decided to keep posting and to continue sharing updates about my pregnancy. I'm not going to clutter anyone's feed with baby content. But I'm also not going to hide this monumental stage of my life. I deserve to celebrate this journey just like anyone else. Mom continues to try to make me feel guilty. She has sent me long messages saying that I am selfish and insensitive, and has insinuated that I am deliberately trying to upset Sally. It is difficult not to feel hurt by her words, but I know that I am not wrong. But this situation makes me question whether I am being inconsiderate or whether my mother's expectations are excessive. I never intended to hurt anyone, especially my sister, but I don't think I should hide my happiness just to avoid making her uncomfortable. Am I the bad guy for refusing to stop sharing about my pregnancy just because my sister is facing fertility problems? Update 1. Hi, here's a little update. Things haven't exactly gotten any easier, particularly with regards to my mother. If you read my previous post, you know how much she favors my sister Sally and how she has never really supported me, especially after everything that happened with Dalton. But recently, my mother has reached new levels of meanness, and it has been really hard to deal with. Every time I post something related to my pregnancy, which isn't very often, my mother has been leaving nasty and cruel comments. Initially, I thought she was just upset about the whole Sally situation. But this has been going on for weeks. She doesn't limit herself to a single comment. She writes multiple things under my posts, trying to make me feel guilty or bad about celebrating my pregnancy. She seems to be actively trying to make sure I don't enjoy my pregnancy. At first, I thought blocking her accounts would work. Every time she left a nasty comment, I'd just block her, hoping it would be the last one. But she persisted, creating new accounts and commenting terrible things. I felt trapped in an endless cycle. It became really exhausting, and I started to question whether blocking her was worth it. So now I've just given up. I let her comment whatever she wants and try to ignore it as best I can. I don't reply to her comments and really try to stay away from the drama. But honestly, it's complicated. No matter how much I convince myself that her words don't matter, they still hurt. She's my mother, and it's hard to see her behave like this. She should be my biggest support, especially during my pregnancy, but instead she's complicating everything when I just want to enjoy this period. I've been really excited about this pregnancy. It feels like a new beginning for my family, but my mother's constant negativity is really affecting my mood. I have even considered abandoning social networks completely, but I don't want to give her that kind of control over me. This is my life, my pregnancy, and I should be able to celebrate it as I wish. I have already given up a lot of personal happiness just to keep the family peace, and I'm fed up. I deserve to enjoy this pregnancy and share it with people who genuinely care about me without feeling guilty. That said, it's really hard to ignore my mother's comments. She knows exactly how to provoke me, and although I try not to let it get to me, it's not easy. Her words linger in my mind. It's a constant reminder that no matter how happy I feel, there's always someone trying to bring me down. I would really appreciate some advice. How do you handle similar situations? How do you prevent hurtful words from affecting you, especially when they come from someone as close as your mother? I would like to know how others deal with these situations, because I want to overcome it and enjoy this special moment without her comments getting me down. Update 2. Hello, many people wanted to know more details about what happened with Dalton and Sally, so here it is. A few months after Emery was born, I began to notice changes in Dalton. He was becoming distant. He spent less time at home and always seemed uninterested. He made excuses for being away, claiming work or errands, but something felt strange. Initially, I convinced myself it was simply the stress of being new parents. We were both exhausted and adjusting to life with the baby, so I thought maybe he just needed space. But as the weeks went by, his behavior only became more unusual. He seemed emotionally distant, barely interacting with me or Emery, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. One day, Dalton was receiving numerous messages, and the notification was very annoying while I was trying to put Emery to sleep. I took his phone to silence it, and also because I wanted to know who was sending so many messages. I just looked at the notifications. The messages were from Sally, saying, "It's been too long. When are you going to tell him about us?" I confronted Dalton directly after reading this. When I showed him the message, he didn't even try to deny it. He admitted everything, saying that it just happened and that they didn't mean to hurt me. I wasn't surprised about Sally. She always flirted with my partners. It was her usual pattern, but I hated that Dalton did this to me. I filed for divorce almost immediately. There was no solution to this. I was fed up. I didn't want to fight or prolong the process. I just wanted Dalton out of my life. I won't lie, taking care of Emery alone was extremely difficult. I didn't get any help. My mother was busy helping my sister with the preparations for her big dream wedding. Oh, and 2 months after our divorce, her wedding came. My mother, who had always favored Sally, tried to pressure me into attending. She said it was important to keep the family together and that I should move on for Emery's sake. I refused. There was no way I wanted to witness my sister's wedding to my ex-husband. It felt like a betrayal of both of them. And of my mother, too. She didn't seem to care how much I was suffering. She just wanted to keep up appearances and make Sally happy. After everything that had happened with Dalton and Sally, I felt that moving on was the right decision for Emery and for me. I couldn't stay stuck in the past, and I finally found someone who really cared about me, Walter. He was kind, patient, and supportive in ways that Dalton never was. I met Walter about a year after my divorce, and we got married after a year and a half of dating. When Walter and I got married, I saw it as a new beginning. Instead of being supported in my happiness, I was made to feel like the villain. Some thought I had moved on too quickly, as if it was unfair or inappropriate that I should be happy after all that had happened. Dalton's family, in particular, made things worse. They couldn't understand how I could have moved on so quickly from the man who had given me my daughter. They even insinuated that I must have been cheating on Dalton all the time, claiming that there was no way I could have gotten over him so quickly unless I was already involved with someone else. It was extremely ironic, but they were trying to turn me into the villain by accusing me of exactly what their son had really done, but I ignored them. I am genuinely happy with Walter now. Update 3. I recently heard some news about Sally and Dalton from our cousin, and honestly, it was quite shocking, as you all know. Sally has been facing fertility problems for some time. She has always wanted to have children, and I assumed that, like many couples, they had consulted a doctor to carry out tests to determine if there was a medical problem. But apparently, that was not the case. They didn't go to the doctor, they just assumed that Sally was infertile because Dalton and I had Emery. They reasoned that she must be the problem because, according to their logic, since I had a child with him, she must be the cause. But this is where it gets strange. A few days ago, I found out that Dalton actually had a vasectomy right after our divorce. He didn't tell Sally about it, and for almost 5 years, he let her believe that she wasn't good enough for him because she couldn't get pregnant. He didn't want to be a father again, so he took this step to prevent it happening again and kept it a secret. All this time, Sally blamed herself for not being able to have children, thinking that there was something wrong with her. She was devastated, and, even worse, Dalton never confessed the truth. Sally, of course, was completely unaware of the situation. She had been trying hard to conceive, consulting doctors, doing everything she could. All the while, Dalton simply stood by, knowing it wasn't her fault. It was his. He let her suffer in silence, and she truly believed she was responsible. She thought she wasn't good enough for him because she couldn't give him the family he wanted. She felt defective. She was falling apart, and all the while Dalton kept a secret, manipulating her emotions. I can't even imagine how hurt and betrayed she must have felt when she discovered the truth. Apparently, a few days ago, Dalton came home drunk and finally revealed everything. I'm not sure if he felt guilty or if he simply reached a critical point. But he confessed the truth about the vasectomy to Sally. Finally, he revealed the lies he had been telling her for years, making her believe that she was the reason why they couldn't have children. The truth was that it was his decision from the start. He had closed the possibility of starting a family, and instead of taking responsibility, he allowed Sally to think it was her fault. On the one hand, I feel sorry for Sally. She's my sister. No matter how much I disapprove of what she did to me with Dalton, I can't help feeling sorry for her. She's always wanted children and suffered with the pain of not being able to conceive. It must have been absolutely devastating for her to think it was all her fault, especially knowing how much she longed to be a mother. But then I remember everything he did to me, and it's hard to feel too much sympathy for her. Dalton, on the other hand, is someone I can't even look at in the same way. It's bad enough that he cheated on me with my sister, but to do this. To manipulate her for years, allowing her to believe that she was flawed and unworthy, leaves me speechless. The way he handled everything, hiding the truth from Sally and allowing her to experience all that emotional and mental suffering. It's too much to describe. He's a coward. He destroyed our marriage, he tore our family apart, and now he's doing the same to Sally. That's all from me. I'm continuing to blog about my pregnancy. I know some people might think I'm trying to rub it in their faces, but I'm not. This is my life, and I have a right to celebrate it. I won't let anyone make me feel guilty about expressing myself about my pregnancy, especially my mother or Sally. I know my mother probably doesn't like it, but she hasn't said anything to me about it. I think deep down she knows that I'm tired of trying to please everyone. I'm tired of letting her make decisions, and I really don't care what she thinks about my happiness. I'm tired of people trying to dictate my choices, especially when they've never supported me. Update 4. I had a baby girl. We named her Everly, and she is absolutely perfect. Emery has naturally taken on the role of big sister. When Everly was born, a small part of me thought that my mother might finally experience a change of attitude. Despite all the hurtful things she has done and said, I hoped she might put it all aside for the sake of her new granddaughter. I imagined she would show up at the hospital or call to see how we were, but she didn't. There was no call, no visit, not even a message. I tried to prepare myself for that possibility, but it still hurt. She's my mom. No matter how strained our relationship had been, I thought Everly's birth might bring us closer, at least momentarily, but that moment never came. A few weeks after Everly was born, I posted a photo of Emery holding her little sister. It was such a sweet moment, and I wanted to share it. I am so proud of my girls, and it felt right to celebrate them. Most of the responses were kind and encouraging. Friends and family congratulated us, expressed their love, and said beautiful things about them. For a while it seemed like everything was okay, as if I could enjoy this moment without worrying about anything else. My mother left a comment, and for a moment I thought that maybe this time it would be different. I was hoping she would say something nice, even if it was a small compliment, but no. She said the most unpleasant and hateful things I have ever read, and this time it wasn't just directed at me. She directed her anger at my daughters, her own granddaughters. I won't repeat what she wrote, because it was so horrible that it left me completely shocked. Previously, her nasty comments were always about me, criticizing me for moving on after Dalton, accusing me of selfishness and saying that I didn't deserve happiness. That was bad enough and it hurt, but I was learning to deal with it. This was different. This time she crossed a line I never thought she would cross. Seeing her direct that kind of hatred towards two innocent little girls, especially her own granddaughters, was devastating. I sat there staring at her comment. I couldn't believe what I was reading. How could my own mother sink so low? How could she say such horrible things about Everly and Emery? They haven't done anything to her. They're just children. I felt like she wasn't just trying to hurt me anymore. She was attacking the most precious part of my life, and that is an indescribable feeling. I promised myself that I wouldn't let it get to me, but this time it's different. It's not just about me, it's about my daughters, and that makes it much harder to ignore. No matter how hard I try to get over it, her words stay with me, and it's hard not to feel pain. I feel confused, hurt, and unsure about what to do next. My mother has always preferred Sally, and I have learned to live with that. I understand that she has never really supported me, but this situation feels much worse. How do you accept the idea that your own mother can behave like this? How do you deal with the fact that someone who should love and support you can be so cruel? Update 5. A few days ago, my cousin called me with some surprising news. Sally and Dalton are getting a divorce. Honestly, it didn't really surprise me. Considering everything that had happened, it seemed inevitable. Even so, hearing about it stirred up a lot of feelings. Part of me felt a strange satisfaction, as if karma had finally caught up with them. But I also felt kind of sad. Sad for Sally, sad for the chaos created, and especially sad for Emery, who will be caught in the middle of all this. Shortly after that call, Sally contacted me. That really took me by surprise. We haven't really spoken in years, except for her occasional passive-aggressive comments through family members. She has kept her distance, and I have done the same. So when I saw her name on my phone, I hesitated. I almost didn't want to answer, but my curiosity got the better of me. I was dying to know what she had to say, especially after everything that had happened. When I answered, her tone took me aback. She was being extremely sweet, almost excessively so. For a moment, I thought someone else had called and had mistaken the name. I had to check twice. She began by asking about my children, in a honeyed, warm voice as if we were best friends. "How's Emery? How's the baby? I've been wanting to hear from you." It was very strange to hear her talk like that, as if the whole past didn't exist. I answered her questions politely but briefly, avoiding giving her the opportunity to go into more detail. The situation felt strange, and I wasn't going to let my guard down. Then she got to the point and told me that she and Dalton had separated and were getting divorced. She didn't share many details about the reasons, but I had already heard something from my cousin. It was evident from her voice that she was trying to present herself as a victim, conveniently ignoring her role in the disaster that originally caused their relationship. Once she informed me about the divorce, Sally changed the subject. She began to explain how difficult everything had been for her, expressing that she felt that her whole life was falling apart. Then she said something that really shocked me. She asked me if I could help her in some way. She said that I was her sister and that it was my obligation to help her, as if that were justification enough for me to drop everything and go to her side. She said that I should be there for her because that's what family does. The audacity of it almost made me laugh out loud. I couldn't help but laugh, not because I found it funny, but because I was so surprised by her nerve. Did she really think I had forgotten what she did to me? Did she think all the pain and betrayal could just be ignored because she was now facing the consequences of her own actions? I reminded her exactly what she had done. I told her how she had got involved with my husband, ruined my marriage, and turned my life upside down. I told her that even if I could help her, I wouldn't. She had made her choices, and now she had to face the consequences. Her tone changed immediately. The sweetness disappeared, and she became enraged. But I didn't stay to hear more. I ended the call, blocked her number, and a strange feeling of relief came over me. For the first time in a long time, I felt in control. I wouldn't allow her to manipulate or guilt me into doing something I didn't want to do. I stood my ground, and it felt empowering. I have spent so much of my life trying to overcome the pain she caused me. When she and Dalton did what they did to me, I felt my whole world crumble. It took years to piece it back together, and even now it still affects me. I have worked hard to build a life that makes me happy, a life with Walter, Emery, and Everly. Allowing Sally to return would only rekindle everything, and I'm not willing to take that risk. What really irritates me is her sense of entitlement. She never came forward to apologize or even acknowledge that she hurt me. It's as if she didn't even consider how her actions impacted me. Instead, she acted as if I owed her something, as if it was my responsibility to help her solve her problem. It's frustrating and, honestly, heartbreaking. She still doesn't seem to understand that her actions have consequences, and sometimes that means losing those who care about you. Blocking her was the best decision I could make for myself. I don't want her drama or negativity in my life, especially now that I'm focusing on my family. I've come too far to let her drag me back into the chaos she created. Maybe one day he'll recognize the damage he caused and take responsibility, but I'm not counting on it. Update 6. Hello. Some of you have asked about Dalton and his relationship with Emery, so I decided to take a moment to share. To put it simply, their relationship is practically non-existent. When Emery was born, I really believed that Dalton would take on his paternal role. Regardless of what happened between us, I believed that he would want to be involved in her life, to be there as she grew up. But as the years have passed, it has become apparent that he is not interested. He barely communicates, and when he does see her, it is infrequent and seems more like an obligation than something he really wants to do. Emery doesn't really know Dalton well, which saddens me deeply. She doesn't seem to feel a connection with him and refuses to call him Dad. I have never pressured her on this because I consider it her decision. On the other hand, she calls Walter Dad, and honestly, I think that clearly reflects her feelings. Walter has been there for her in all the ways that Dalton has not. He is the one who tells her bedtime stories, helps her with homework, and takes her to the park. He loves her as his own, and she adores him just the same. Sally and Dalton are now officially divorced. From what I've heard, the separation was not exactly amicable. Sally currently lives with my mother, which makes sense considering they have always been close. I haven't spoken to either of them about it, and I don't plan to. I have kept my distance from that part of my family, and it has benefited my mental health. Speaking of my mother, there is an unexpected relief in that situation as well. After months of posting hateful and cruel comments on my social networks, she has finally been suspended from Instagram. Initially, I tried to block her accounts, but she kept creating new ones just to harass me. It was exhausting, and her words hurt more than I wanted to admit, but now that she has been suspended, there is finally some peace of mind. I no longer have to check my phone and see her comments, and that has considerably lightened my load. Life feels a little more peaceful at the moment, and I'm concentrating on enjoying that with my family. Emery and Everly are happy, Walter continues to be the best partner and father, and for the first time in a long time, I feel like I can breathe without all the additional family drama.